Before we get to in today's episode, this is a trigger warning. If you have PTSD that is connected to a military deployment, there will be talk about a past military deployment and certain situations that the veteran and my husband speaking to this found himself in there. So just friendly advice if this is anything that could be triggering you right now, just pause or stop it and just see where you're at with this recording. Okay. All right. Have fun. Bye. If you take all of these special effects down, I'm not saying that there's nothing scary in the world, but people murdering each other in the street are way scarier than seeing certain entities because they just want to hang out. Welcome to the Wellness Amazon podcast, where we talk about everything body, mind, and spirit, health, and wellness. No subject is taboo here, and we have fun peeling back all the layers. Let's do this. Welcome, everybody, to a new episode of the Wellness Amazon podcast. Today, with somebody who has been on the show before, my husband, DJ.
Hello.
Hi, DJ.
Hi.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me again.
We're going to talk about our own, I guess, supernatural experiences today, because we have had so many people on the show by now. By the time this airs, it's going to be January, maybe even February, I don't know. And we have had so many woo-woo subjects on the show that people call it that or like to call it that, right? And it's interesting when we talk about these things because we're both still, we are spiritual and religious at the same time, which I think they go hand in hand, but some people don't do that. I don't know. Everybody does their own, but here we are to talk about things we can't really explain in a very scientific term, or somebody who's an atheist, somebody who doesn't believe in these things. You explain it to them and they also don't have an explanation for it, you know? I mean, the best explanation I usually hear is, oh, it's all in your head. It was just, you just imagined it. So, yeah. So, little background about you. Obviously, you're my husband.
Mm-hmm.
That's your number one job.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's a full-time job, too.
I'm a handful. He has two big hands. But you're also a veteran.
Yes. Yep.
You've been to Iraq twice.
Yep.
And most of your experiences that you've had played in or happened while you were at war.
Yes.
While you were deployed.
Yep.
Okay. I know you have one super distinct one. Do you want to just go ahead and jump right in?
Sure, yeah. I was deployed for 2 deployments, 04 to 05. I was in Baghdad, Sadr City, and Fallujah. And then in 06, 07, I was there for Ramadi. So it was the Ramadi one where there was a situation we were getting mortared. I was in Corregidor, and which was not uncommon, but the number one, I was commo. I provided comms for the FOB, forward observation base, and the commo, for being commo, we had to keep the medic line up and running at all times for obvious reasons. Just so happens it was about 2:00 in the morning, I think, and we got mortared pretty good, and of course the only line that went down was the medic line. So me and a soldier, we were jumping from rooftop to rooftop to try to find the break. There was some small arms fire every now and again. A mortar would lob every once in a while, but nothing crazy. And then we had to go out the FOB, go about 100 yards up, which was called Route Michigan at the time, and then go into another FOB where the medic station was. So it was essentially across the street, but you had to walk 100 yards up and then over into the FOB. Still couldn't find it. We're up on the roof, and then the smaller fire started getting worse and worse. So we decided, you know what, it's not worth it. The medics shared a hangar with the mechanics, so we told the mechanics that their phone is now the medic phone. We're gonna, in the morning, we'll find it, find the break, get it fixed, and give their phone back. But at the time, they're just gonna have to deal with not having a phone. When you walk out of the FOB, there's about a 3-foot space. You have a 10-foot Hesco barrier, which was big bags full of sand, basically, that were 10 feet high. Then there was about 3 foot after that. Then there was a little creek about knee deep, 2 or 3 feet wide, and there's a metal grill that goes over it, so it's kind of like a bridge. And me and my soldier were walking, and I went to step on the bridge, and I felt 2 hands like this. It felt like this, pushing me in the chest hard. I couldn't move, telling me, "Don't go this way." In the back, it was coming from the back. My back. I remember like it was yesterday, coming from the back right,
The
whispering.
voice.
Yes, whispering in my ear with the 2 hands pushing my chest.
Was
Don't
it
go this
was
way.
it a distinct voice?
Female.
Very
It was.
clear
It was. It
female.
was a
Okay.
clear female voice. Yep. Um, every time I tried to step on there, it would essentially push me away and tell me don't go. It wasn't. It was very soft, gentle. It wasn't loud and screaming and hollering. It was just a very soft, "Don't go this way. Don't go this way" type voice. My soldier standing behind me, he's like, "Hey, let's get out of here. It's late, you know." And I said, "You know what? Let's walk down the road, this path here, just to see what if we find the break." He had to listen to me. I outranked him, so he didn't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
So we start walking that way, and now the hands are on my back, pushing me. Keep going, keep going, keep walking, keep walking. So we keep walking. About 75 yards or so, the voice goes away. The hands lift off my back. It's done. There's nothing. So I'm standing for a second, kind of confused. My soldier's looking at me like, "What the hell are we doing?" And I was like, "You know what? Let's just go back." So we turn around and we're facing the city of Ramadi now,
Mm-hmm.
and the sky lights up. And I remember it was beautiful. Like it was just bright lights and it was colorful, beautiful lights. And I was like, man, I remember even telling him like, "Man, that's a pretty sky." Well, unfortunately, it wasn't the sky. It was a whole bunch of motor tubes lit off at the same time, and we got hammered with dozens and dozens of mortars. So we're down on the ground. Mortars are exploding within 2 feet of us, all around us. And there's nowhere for us to go. We got the creek on one side, bears on the other. There's nowhere to go, so we just there. And I'm laughing hysterically. I can't stop laughing. Couldn't stop laughing. My soldier was like, "Why? What is so funny? We're about to die." And I told him, I was like, "Yeah, we're dead. There's nowhere for us to go. There's nowhere to hide. We're gonna get killed. But at least we got to see that beautiful sky." Crazy thing is, the mortars are hitting the swamp, the water, the little creek, but neither one of us got wet. The ground all around us was wet. The barriers were soaking wet from the mortars. There was shrapnel everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one of us got a scratch on us. We get up, we run back up the road about the 75 yards or whatever, cross the bridge and run down the Route Michigan, and it is annihilated. There's not a piece of concrete left on that road. It's destroyed tremendously. We get back to our little fob, and we get into our hooch where we had the comms and stuff. And after we were done breathing hard and adrenaline kind of calmed down a little bit, my soldier looked at me and said, "Why the F did we go that way? If we didn't, we would have died. There was no logical explanation." I tried to explain it to him, but I really didn't understand it at the time. I still don't really understand it. But something wouldn't let us go that route. And if we did, it would have been game over, because we would have been in the middle of the road where, there was nowhere to go.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was crazy. I get goosebumps thinking about it every time. For the longest time, I was actually kind of scared to tell that story because people would look at you like you're weird.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really care anymore. It happened. I know it happened. It happened to me, and I'll share it.
Even when you shared it with me, I remember you sharing that with me for the very, very first time. You were probably slightly intoxicated.
Yeah.
The story evolved over time because you were holding back the first time you told it. You were just talking about the hands. Then you were talking about that you actually heard someone talking to you. And then the whole, like you were just describing it, when you looked around afterwards, you saw all of this destruction around you, but it was almost like you and your soldier on this little tiny, like an island. You were like surrounded almost by a bubble,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing happened to you. That was the last piece you ever told me. And this is, I think, just a couple of years ago. So you say you don't understand it, right?
Mm.
Did your soldier have any thoughts about that?
He I mean, he probably thought I was crazy,
Mm-hmm.
but he couldn't. There was no logical explanation why we went that route, why we didn't cross the bridge, walk on the road, go back to our hut. There was no reason for us to walk down that path. Zero reason, except I outranked him and I told him we were doing it. That was the
Mm.
only reason why.
Yeah. And the funny thing is when people are, I'm trying to envision people now trying to explain this in the most logical way, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could see people say, oh, you had an adrenaline rush. Actually, when you have an adrenaline rush, the opposite would happen
Mm-hmm.
because you get extra superhuman strength, you get faster, everything goes pumping to the organs that are now important, everything else is going dormant, and you are very sharply minded, very focused, your senses are all awake. Having something like an hallucination is the last thing you would have when you have an adrenaline rush, because that is not helpful in that situation. So obviously it was helpful for you, but it was because it was not a hallucination.
Right. I didn't see anything. I
Right.
just felt it and heard it. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Did you recognize that voice at
No.
all? No?
Nope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting because we recently watched this documentary
Mm-hmm.
about life after death and near-death experiences and all that stuff. And everybody is pretty much saying the same thing, that when they get into the light and all of this, we don't have to talk about all the emotions and the beauty and whatever. It's all the same. But everybody says that there's people that greet them, and these people, they feel familiar, but they're not family, but they have been with you the entire time. And people talk about spirit guides all the time. People that are very religious will say, oh, you can't say that because that's nowhere in the Bible. But what if this is what we think of angels? Things like that. So I think it's a beautiful story. I love when you tell that story because it is not the only situation when you were deployed, especially in that second deployment, where you should have been dead.
Yeah.
You should have been dead. There is no way. I am incredibly grateful that you're alive, right? Otherwise we would have never gotten together. We would have never started a family.
Yeah. Well,
But
it was
it's
before we met, so we would have never
right,
met. Yep.
right. But you had other things during this time of deployment where again, it is just, people can say coincidence all the time. I don't believe in coincidences at all. And when it gets weird, but why did you do that? That is so untypical. Like,
Mm-hmm.
do you want to tell the story about your soldier who was eating very slowly? Which is not
Yeah. I
typical
mean,
for a soldier to eat slowly.
yeah. So, there was a situation where, on the fob that I was at, there was casualties. It was very regular that we lost a soldier. And when you lose a soldier, you have a fallen comrade ceremony. If you've never been to one or never seen one, it's very emotional, but it's a good experience. Unfortunately, on obviously bad terms because somebody is dead. But we lost a soldier, and we were having a fallen comrade ceremony, and none of my soldiers had been to one except for one other one. And so I was like, hey, I think it's very important that you guys go to this. So it was right after dinner time. We eat in our hoochie. You didn't eat in the chow hall because it would get blown, it would get mortared.
Can we explain that word hooch? Because I think when people hear that, they're like, what?
So hooch is the shed. It's our building that we stayed in where our comms was, where we provided comms. That was our building. We called it. It was literally a wooden box. It wasn't nothing. It wasn't a building. It was a wooden box. We called it a hooch. It was covered in sandbags to stop the shrapnel from coming through and the bullets from coming through. But it was a wooden box. And we called it a hooch. So yeah.
Okay.
If I say anything that like I did
Sure.
explain FOB, forward observation base, but let me know and I'll.
Yeah. Hooch was it threw me off the first time you said the word. I was like, the what now? That sounds very inappropriate, but when you explain it, it's like, okay, it's essentially a shoebox made out of plywood. Yeah, okay.
Yep. So we're all done eating except for one soldier, and for whatever reason, This particular day, he was just taking his time and eating slow. And I was getting frustrated because you don't want to be late to this. You don't want to miss it. You don't want to be late.
Mm.
So I was like, hey, man, you need to hurry up. You need to hurry up. You need to hurry up. And he was like, oh, I am. And finally, I was like, you're done. Let's go. We're not going to miss this. So we go out the door. When you walk out the door, there's HESCO barriers by us too. Obviously we're calm. We're kind of in our little area. And I'm getting ready to walk around the HESCO barrier. And as I step around the corner, a mortar hits the barrier, maybe a foot in front of me. Maybe closer. I don't remember. I don't remember much after that, except for what my soldiers told me. So apparently it hit and it threw me back about 20 to 25 feet. And I land in this open area, knocked out cold. My soldiers, and it was multiple mortars. This one just hit right there, threw me back, and then we were getting mortar really bad, small arms fire. My soldiers jumped. They didn't see what really happened to me except for the guy right behind me, but they all jumped back into the hooch, the shelter area, to duck for cover, and they grabbed the other guy and pulled him because he was running out to get me, but they allegedly grabbed him and pulled him in because we were getting hit. They opened the door, and I'm laying there, out cold. They thought I was dead. They ran out, grabbed me, brought me back into the hooch, and I didn't have a scratch on me.
I think the last thing you remember too was that your friend or your soldier and friend had you by the collar and was choking you, and you woke up, him dragging you up or down the stairs.
We were wearing what we call our IBA. It's my flak vest. On the back, there's a handle that's used to drag people, but it will choke you too. So he was dragging me up the stairs to get back into the building. That's when I woke up. It was choked. I remember being choked, but it felt like my insides were liquefied almost. It's hard to explain. I could barely breathe. It felt like, everything was, my ears were ringing. I was seeing spots. I couldn't talk. Could barely see anything. Couldn't really hear anything. It took a long time to recover from that, but yeah, if we would have left 2 seconds earlier, the mortar would have hit me in the chest. And it would have been game over. So, yeah, it was a crazy situation.
Which, again, for non-military people, it is very, very atypical for a soldier to eat slow.
Yeah, it's not normal, especially
because
where
that's
we were
what
at.
you learn. You learn to eat fast.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the crazy thing is, like I said, never had a scratch on me. And there's dozens of stories. I mean, there was our first day there. I know it was our second day there. We had a mortar hit, and a piece of shrapnel went through my pant leg, but missed me. But went through my pants. It peppered the chair that my soldier was sitting on 10 seconds earlier. And the only reason he wasn't sitting on that chair is I was doing something on my laptop and I wanted to show him. And he's young. He's a young kid. And I'm this old guy, and I'm like, oh, I got this. You got to come check it out. And he's like, yeah, whatever, Soren. And I was like, no, man, come here. So he comes around. He looks over my shoulder. And all of a sudden, within 10 seconds, the mortar hits, destroys the chair he was sitting on, goes through my pant leg, hits the wall that my soldier was sleeping in, but doesn't go through the wall. It was crazy. That was our second day there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you had a bullet graze your ear, right?
I did. Yep. I think that was more stupid on my end than anything. We were being attacked. And, when we since I'm Camo, our fob, our little area where we're inside, obviously a bigger area, but it's, when we start getting attacked, we go black, which means we shoot first, ask questions later. You don't come into our area, even as Americans, don't come into our area as an American soldier if we're being attacked, because we have ComSec, we have all this security stuff. We can't let the enemy get to it. We have incendiary grenades, we have to, destroy everything if we're getting overran. And so we were getting attacked. And this voice told me not to just stay down, but I had to see where the enemy was, because depending on how close they are, then we have to take precautions. And it told me to stay down. I didn't listen. I popped my head up, and as I do, I see a tracer round coming right at me, and I turn my head. Oop, can't see me anymore. And it nicked my ear. And then I was like, okay, the voice told me to stay down for a reason.
That was before the hands on your chest thing happened.
I don't really remember. The hands on the chest was after the mortar hit and threw me back. but I don't remember.
Because I wonder if it kind of like let you get your ear grazed just to give you like a,
Yeah.
told you, listen to me.
Yeah. So,
Wow. Yeah. Well, the thing is, when you were saying you're scared to tell people these stories, I have I have a lot of stories, but one is super out there, and then the other two, it's just what it is. I really don't care if people think I'm crazy or not at this point. But there's one that is from my childhood where it's so out there because it has nothing to do with ghosts or intuition or anything like this, but it has something to do with, I don't even know what to call it. Little people? Little people? I mean, I don't know if it was fairies. I don't remember wings, so I don't think so. But I remember, and I was little, I was really little, but I do distinct remember after this happened, don't ever think this was a dream. Don't ever think this was a dream. Because that's what I even thought as a little child. Oh, I will probably not remember this and think it was a dream. But I knew when it happened how profound that was. And I remember sitting on my bed and I had my feet dangling down. And I have that vision, that visual, I'm looking at my feet and they're dangling off my bed. And there's just it's so crazy what I tell. There's a caravan,
mhm.
a caravan. And I recognized some of my toys in that caravan too. I was like, oh, that's where that is. I was looking for that. And it's these little people. And for the longest time, I think I still do this today sometimes when I can't find something. I will say it out loud into the ether of the house. Hey, yo, all, I am missing this XYZ. I would like to have it back. It's important. And guess what? A day later, it shows up where I know I have looked before,
Mhm.
And now but that's really out there. But I think the most interesting in situation that I've had, because we talk about spirituality and we talk about religion and we talk about sometimes different religions, and Doug was on the show, we talked about
Mhm.
Christianity. It's we're Catholic, right? And Catholics we have more books in the Bible than everything that happened after Martin Luther. He removed a couple of books, and these books that have been removed, and a lot of these, I mean, there's talk about demons and how to cast it out and all of these things, right? And every Catholic priest will tell you, when we talk about the devil or demons, we're not talking about a metaphor. We're talking about an actual entity, and it does exist, and it works every day on you. It depends who you're talking to. I know a lot of more spiritual people that are not religious. They know it doesn't exist. So, it's I I don't shoot anyone down. What you need to know what you want to believe in. Um, I know people, and the funny thing is, these people, this particular person that I know that I'm going to talk about just to frame this story that I'm trying to tell, is one of my friend's husband, and he is just like you. He is not woo-woo. He is not even religious. He's a good guy. He is very hands-on. He's very smart, but you would never think that he has any special abilities. However, he can see things sometimes that other people cannot see, where he will tell his wife, he doesn't usually tell people that because he's scared, but he will tell his wife, like, hey, Mark over there, or whoever, right, has something attached to him. I can see it. And I asked him one time, I said, how does this look like? How does this thing look like? And he said, oh, there's a famous artwork from, I don't remember. See if I can find it and blend it in, where it was a painting from maybe the Renaissance time. And over time, these people that were handling the painting realized that there's another layer to
Yeah.
the paint. Do you remember that?
Yep.
And it was, I think It was somebody in their bed. So it was a painting of someone in their bed. And back in the day, you had a 4-poster bed and you had this big sky thing, curtain thing around it, right? And in the shadows of that is a creature. But that creature was hidden by paint over it. But the paint came off or chipped or whatever. And they saw this creature come emerging from this painting. And they realized, oh, this artist must have seen something like this, right? And so he says, this is what that looks like. This happened after I had my experience, and I was just shocked because it looked just like what I have seen, but I didn't know any of that before. So my situation was, and again, when you meditate, you sometimes enter an altered state, right? Like some people can enter an altered state when they take drugs or whatever. It really is just about opening your mind, I think. Yep. So I went, there was during a time where I would always do these big events, not big, but, singing bowl events and drum meditations and all that stuff with my local girl, Stormy here. She's fantastic. And that was back when my yoga teacher still had his yoga studio before COVID. And she would rent out the yoga studio and we would all, so she's in the front, she's the center, and we would all, almost like a sun around her, have our yoga mats, right? And I think it was drumming that time. And she had some other musical things in there. It doesn't matter. We're all there. We're meditating. I don't know any of the people in the room besides her. And there is a lady behind me, beautiful young lady. And again, she's important for later down the road, but not right now. I don't know her. So I'm in my zone. And I don't have any issues, especially back then when I did it religiously. No issues to be immediately in a meditative state. I lay down, I put usually the eye mask over me. As soon as she hit the first note of whatever instrument she's using, no matter if that's a singing bowl or a drum, I'm in. She actually told me one time, she said, put your hands down. Don't put your hands up because you fly. Flying means I'm leaving my body. And she said, that's great. However, I do want you to stay in your body and have the same experience, because I was not trained enough or equipped enough yet to be out of my body and leave my body unprotected on the ground, which I never thought about that. I thought, oh, flying, that's fantastic. That's a good thing. Not necessarily. Yep. So I'm in my state, and out of a sudden, I am not in the realm anymore. You go to like different places when you meditate, and out of a sudden I'm in that studio and I am back in my body, but I'm not, if that makes sense. So I am seeing things. My eyes are open, but my actual eyes are closed, right? And I see this thing over me, hovering. I mean, from my hand to my nose apart. And it's sniffing me. It's like, and I look at it, and it doesn't notice that I'm looking at it. Again, my physical body, nothing. I am eyes closed. I'm out cold. I'm somewhere else, right? But this is happening in my what, spiritual body, I guess. I'm looking at it, and it locks eyes with me, and I can see the terror in his eyes. I'm just saying his, I don't even know what its eyes, okay? The terror that I am looking at it, that I see it. It is so afraid. And immediately it's like, it goes like this, and it scurries over to like the back corner. And it was a very dark, if you didn't have the lights on, it was a dark like brick studio. Everything was exposed brick. And it was at night. And I couldn't see it anymore, and it tried to like disappear. And I was not afraid at all, and it was so ugly. And I think the best way to describe it is either if you know the painting, or if you try to envision Gollum from The Lord of the Rings, but with like really sharp teeth and not quite as like smaller, maybe, more bulging eyes even, and just that there's just nothing when you look in those eyes, it's just dead in there. If you would have told me the story before it happened and you would tell me that, "Oh, you're not gonna be afraid," I would have told you, "You're crazy.
Yeah.
I would pee myself." No, no, there was nothing. I was so sure of myself, and I knew there was nothing to be afraid. What I felt for it was actually pity.
No. Do
I
you
was
think it
like,
was evil, or do you think it was neither or good or
I think so. Okay, let me finish the story because
okay.
I think we're gonna get there. Um, So I am not bothered by this whatsoever. I'm like,
Mm,
okay, I should remember this. I should tell Stormy later about this because that's a thing that she does. She asks people if
mm,
they want to share their experiences, and but I go somewhere else again. Everything is happy, 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 and I'm meditating, and we're done. And we sit up, and we all come out of it a little bit. We stretch and drink water and all the things you're supposed to do. And she's asking everybody, and I'm sharing that story. And the lady behind me said the magic, not so magic words, I guess. She said, "Oh, that's mine." And I turned around and said, "Oh, excuse me, what did you just say?" She said, "Yeah, yeah, that's mine. I have this attachment and I can't get rid of it."
hmm.
And Stormy immediately called her out and said, "You just claimed it.
Yeah.
You just said, 'Oh, that's mine.' No, it's not yours, and you have the power to tell it to go away. You need to stop claiming it."
Mhm.
So they talked a little bit about that whole situation. And it was so interesting because I thought, so if this came from her, but now it's in the same room as we are all, right? It scurries around checking us out, right? What kind of energy do we have here?
Mhm.
Because it doesn't thrive on positive energy, I don't think. It thrives on something else. And but when I looked at it,
Mm.
no, absolutely not. I want to be in the shadows. I don't want to be seen. And
Right.
if you see me, I get scared. It got scared. I mean, it scurried away. It was so terrified of me.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't call it evil because I think evil things, it would have had the power to attach itself and not give
Right.
uh whatever that I'm seeing it. But it was, I don't know. So like I said, I felt pity for it. I thought, "Oh, you poor thing."
Mhm.
That was my first thought process. Poor thing. And I think maybe it didn't like that either. So it's just it's sad.
Mhm.
They're probably that's probably why they're there. It's a residual negative energy that comes from other people's trauma,
Mhm.
depression, unresolved shadows, all that stuff that we carry around that it feeds on.
Mhm.
Um, and I know people like when Nick was on the show, he talked about that, and he actually said a little bit about the same thing. He said they do look comical almost,
Mhm.
which I'm like, ah, yeah, we're talking about googly eyes, like bulging eyes. He's like, yeah, yeah. So it's people down through the bench that have these same experience that
Mhm.
can explain it the same way, that can describe it the same way. We can't all be wrong,
Mm.
And it was a very distinct moment. Why this is my favorite story is the fact that I wasn't scared
Mhm.
because I was laying there. I was relaxed. I was in my love, right? I was in my light. There is nothing you can do to me. I have the power to decide.
Mhm.
And that was a very empowering moment. And it made me feel better because sometimes when you train these intuitive things, people are scared to
Mhm.
have these abilities. And then knowing that you don't have to be scared to have these abilities because these things are not going to scare you. They're just there,
Mhm.
but they're not going to attach to you if you don't let them. So yeah, I wouldn't call it evil. I would just call it like desperate
Yeah.
almost. Yeah. But I thought if I'm going to tell everyone what I just saw during my meditation, they might think I'm crazy, which most of those people are pretty open-minded. But when she just said, "Oh, this is mine," I'm like, wait, what? It was so unreal, and but it was validating too,
Mm-hmm.
because she knew exactly what that thing looked like. She knew that it was with her, right? And I thought, oh, so I'm not nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually seen that thing that just came with you.
I just find it odd that you were the only other person of all the people in the room. You were the only other one that saw it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of.
And I don't know. That is actually interesting question. I don't know what got into me that made me open my eyes, mental, like spiritual eyes,
Mm-hmm.
because I never opened my actual eyes, and that I was in that dimension, maybe in that between space where I floated in my meditation, that I was able to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's why some of the meditations that my friend and I are doing, they are very, very, they train that.
Mm-hmm.
So you might end up, you might not, but you might end up seeing things even during complete awake state. Like I could walk down our bathroom right now and see something. Um, but I don't care, because now I know that it wouldn't scare me.
Right. Yep.
You know, it is just, and the funny thing is, I was explaining this to my friend too, who is afraid to see these things. Maybe I said, what we think about scary things is all Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Watch a horror movie on mute. I dare you. Do it. Do it. Any horror movie, watch it on mute. Mute the volume. No music.
Mm-hmm.
It is boring as F. I mean, holy cow.
Mm-hmm.
You watch The Shining
Yeah.
without the music, you're like, this is the stupidest crap
Scariest
I've
movie
ever
you can
seen.
watch with the music, but yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
no, absolutely not. If you take all of these special effects down, I'm not saying that there's nothing scary in the world,
Mm-hmm.
but people murdering each other in the street are way scarier than
Right.
seeing certain entities, because
Mm-hmm.
they just want to hang out, they just want something from you. They want to suck your energy out. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And I do you remember that show that we watched with the medium and the cab?
Yes.
Tom is the medium.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of mediums out there, that are not the real deal. He definitely is one of them that is the real deal. And I remember he had one girl where she came in and he said, you have a negative, very, very negative attachment on you. And she said, yeah, I'm very depressed. I drink too much. I take drugs. I don't live my life correctly. He said, look, you clean up your life and this thing is going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
They feed on your self-doubt,
Yep.
your negativity, your lack of self-love, your negative self-talk. All of
Mm-hmm.
that stuff attracts these things. And if you step into the light in your life, in the love for yourself, and you respect yourself to the point where you do get up in the morning and you do work out and you do drink water and you stop taking, and all of that, all of these things, I'm not saying it's easy,
Mm-hmm.
but they let go. Now, I don't know if it's a chicken or egg situation here, where it's like, was this entity there first and that's why you got into this, or the other way around? That I don't know. I can't speak to that. But um, it was a profound moment because it took all my fear away.
Mm-hmm.
And I still can't watch this. Doesn't mean that I can watch horror movies nowadays. I can't. But I know it is because Hollywood makes it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I only ever had one out of body experience, and there was a little bit of marijuana involved, but it was crazy.
How old were you? Were you in college?
Yeah, so I was, I don't know, 20, 21 years old at a friend's house smoking, and I was laying on the couch. My brother, it was at a friend's house. I didn't know the house very well. Had only been there one other time, or my friend's parents' house, and so I'm in the living room laying on the couch. My brother's in the kitchen. There's a wall divider. You can't see the kitchen from the living room. And he's in the fridge looking for something, but he can't find it. And I yelled at him, move the milk. It's behind the milk. And he moved the milk, and I think whatever he was looking for was behind the milk.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, how the hell did you know And
So it's not your house.
no,
It's not your fridge.
no,
It's not your brother's house. It's nobody.
it's
You
a
shouldn't have
friend's
known.
parents' house. Yeah,
Yeah.
friend's parents' house. Like
Hmm.
I'd only ever been there one other time, and it was in the doorway. I was never actually ever in the house.
Yeah. Side note.
Yeah.
This is a side note for y'all. If you start arguing about this, my husband cannot even find the ketchup in our own fridge that he looks at every day. This is absolutely paranormal. Paranormal.
Yes, yes. So he was probably looking for the ketchup. I don't remember what it was, but
Yeah.
it tripped him out because he thought I was standing behind him, and he turned around and I wasn't there. And he
Mhm.
walked out in the living room, and I'm laying on the couch.
Yeah.
He was like, "How the heck?" Yeah, it was.
But that is just what we're talking about, this opening your mind. I mean, this is what people a lot of times say with any psychedelics or weed or whatever. It relaxes you to the point where you allow your mind to open,
Mhm.
right? And you allow that subconscious to kind of like mingle with the conscious a little bit more. Yeah, it's profound. But then, on the other hand, you have these experiences during war, which you were definitely not in a
No, yeah,
mind-altered state. You're actually more alert than ever.
yeah. I mean, I think too with when you're deployed and you're in situations like that, you can talk to several soldiers, and people are like, "Oh, oh, I should have been at the, I go to the gym every day at the same time." Well, this one day I didn't go and the gym blows up. That actually happened to my soldiers. My soldiers go to the gym every single day at the same time. This one particular day, one of my soldiers wasn't feeling good. They decided not to go. The gym blows up with a mortar.
Hmm.
Coincidence? Maybe. I mean, it's like think about 9/11 when, you have tens of thousands of people in a building. There's going to obviously be people that call in sick that day,
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of coincidences when it comes to that, but the situation where the hands on the chest and the voice, I can't explain. The soldier eating slow, I mean, you could look at that and be like, well, maybe he just wasn't feeling good, and or the food wasn't all that good, or whatever the case may be. That's why he actually ate slower than normal that day. You could think of it one way or the other. But the hand one and the voice, I've tried to debunk this thing more times than not, and I can never come up with a logical explanation for it. So if any of you guys know one, let us know, because I'm curious.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, too. We are both not necessarily people that are totally not skeptic ever.
Mhm.
I mean, we watch stuff on TV all the time where I'm like, yeah, this is baloney. This
Mhm.
is total baloney. Even with the medium stuff where I'm like, or like palm readers or something. I'm like, yeah, I
Yeah.
could have told you the same thing. Or sometimes I read stuff about astrology. I'm like, I can tell this, I don't know, a Leo, and he would agree with it. It's just weird. However, there is certain things where you are in that situation and you're not crazy, and you just know. And like my best friend from Germany, right? She is 100% typical Virgo. She doesn't believe in anything she can't touch,
Mhm.
right? She is not very hardcore fact science and yeah, you're crazy, Melina, right? But we get along just fine. I guess opposites attract. But when she was living at her parents' house when we were younger, and I was at her house all the time, she even said, yeah, grandma is in this house, right? There is a very distinct something in here that does certain things that grandma used to do. And mind you, this is not my grandma, right? But we are close friends. We
Mhm.
are really, really, really close. And I remember we were remodeling her childhood room. So we were painting it, and it was time to, grow up, fresh paint, new furniture. And we were just so tired from painting all day, but now we couldn't sleep in that room. So we had the mattress in the living room. And I said, I went to bed. She was still in the bathroom. So I went up the stairs. I go into the living room. I go down to sleep. And I am not in like a dream state. I am still wide awake.
Mhm.
And I feel someone very distinct go like this to me and brush the hair out of my face and behind my ear. A very loving. Now, when y'all are coming at me, in Germany, we do not have these like overhead vents. We don't have that. We don't have ACs.
No, they don't.
We only have heaters. We have these wall heaters. Sometimes you have them on the East Coast, actually, in like upper northeast coast. These wall heaters that you have to crack with a dial, a knob, you know, and there's hot water that now runs through it. That's your heater. So we don't have anything where air comes out. Not on the floor, not on the ceiling. There's no ceiling fan. Okay, I think it was in the middle of winter. There would have been no reason for us to have anything open. It wasn't the wind. There was no air draft that just swept my hair away from my face. And no, I know what fingers feel like. You know, it was a very distinct. It was so loving though that I thought, oh, and immediately I said, "Hi, Grandma." You know, we don't know each other, but hi, Grandma. And it was just so sweet. And I told my friend, and again, my hardcore scientific, I don't believe in anything friend said, "Oh yeah, I believe that." Just because it was known in that house. So I don't know. You don't have to be a total skeptic. You don't have to be a total woo-woo person. It can happen to anyone.
Well, my mom told me a story when I was little. That when she was a teenager, her and some friends were together, and they wanted to hold a séance.
Oh boy!
Just for fun. They didn't believe in any of this. They didn't believe in any of this. So there was, I don't know, half a dozen of them or so in a circle, holding hands, doing whatever, doing the thing. Lights on, eyes open. Nobody's eyes were closed, and the lights were on. And all of a sudden, this girl smacks a boy across the face and screams, "Why did you bite me?" And when they looked at her hand, her arm had teeth marks in it.
Ah!
But the lights were on.
No.
And everybody's eyes were open.
No.
So there's no way that the boy could have bitten her without somebody seeing it. But she had teeth marks on her arm. So my mom, after that, she was skeptical, but she couldn't explain it. And I don't know if my mom believes in all the supernatural stuff or whatever. But that day,
I've had talks with your mom.
Yeah,
I've had talks with your mom about that, and that we have done that too. And oh my God, do I regret it? That was the stupidest thing ever. Like my absolute timeout, where I'm like, this is the line. Do not ever, okay, summon anything. No, we don't summon anything. Number one. Number two, we do not touch a Ouija board. Y'all, boys and girls out there, if you're watching this, I don't care how old you are, do not touch the Ouija board. Burn it, okay? Go and burn it if you have one. Get it out of your house. I do not, no, absolutely not. Because here's the thing. You as a normal person, I don't know about a medium that might have friggin' 40 years of experience. Cool. You as a normal person, me as a normal person, I don't know what I'm opening the door to. Like in the episode with Nick, I was jokingly, and I made a reel about it, about like, y'all need to throw away your welcome mats because these welcome everything and everyone is no, it's not. No, it's not. You're not welcome, right? I don't want to invite you into my home. And once it's there, do you even know how to shut the door? Do you know how to shut that whatever you just opened? No, absolutely not. And you think you're talking to someone, and it might not be that someone. It might tell you it's, I'm Peter, sure. And we don't know if it's Peter, No, absolutely not. And when you were, talking about that, we did this. I did this in Germany one time, and it was, instead of a Ouija board, you have a glass. You have a wine glass upside down, and you put your finger on it. Everybody puts their finger on it. Nobody pushes. Here's the thing. I can tell you right now that if you put the tips of your finger on an upside down wine, I cannot talk today, on an upside down wine glass, and I start pushing, and then we do it again, and somebody else moves the glass from the bottom. Very different feeling on your fingertip. You can tell when you do this with someone who's experienced, and back then we did this with someone who was into this stuff and whatever. It was a very distinct pressure that came from the bottom of the glass. But it was just a wine glass out of the freaking china hutch. It was nothing special. And then we had like a ring, a pendulum, and things like this, and that thing moved. I mean, moved. And I was like, oh my God. And she said, nobody, you never, never go away from the wine glass without her as the leader,
Mhm.
right? Saying that we do that. And she would do, we're closing the door or whatever she says. And then she says 1, 2, 3, and everybody takes the finger off. If you do it before, that's when you have the door open and the door is not going to shut anymore.
Mhm.
So that's a problem. Not that I'm saying that any of this is a guarantee. That was stupid. It
Mhm.
was really stupid, I am glad that afterwards I talked to another friend and she said, we're going to sage you. You're going to take a salt bath. You're going to do all the things because I wanted to be cleansed. However, my aunt that we did that with always had a poltergeist in her home. But every time she moved, it was there too. So it wasn't the home, it was her. It attached to her. And I am telling you right now, I actually forgot about this until we started talking about this. When you sit or stand in someone's kitchen and all the kitchen cabinet doors and drawers are opening up, close, open like this, and you are watching this, and you're standing in a very normal German kitchen that has no special effect equipment in it, you pee yourself a little bit.
Yeah, I would. I don't care if it was
You
German or American.
insane,
Mhm.
absolutely insane. And she always talked about smells too, because there was always a smell in the kitchen, and it was sweet, almost like somebody is cooking applesauce on the stove. And her guide, whatever, always said, well, we want it sweet. If it turns bitter,
Yeah.
sour, call me. And I used to always do cat sitting for her when they were out of town, no matter where they were. And so no matter where she lived,
Mhm.
she moved a lot. In every apartment, I had to do cat sitting when she was out of town with her then boyfriend, right? I didn't sleep at all. I was terrified. I saw things. I felt things. Every time I looked down the hallway, the dark, I was like, something is wrong. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I always knew something was wrong. And I always thought it was just attached to one apartment. But when she started moving and things kept happening in the new apartments, right? I knew that is you, honey,
Mhm.
it's you. And you shouldn't do these things anymore. You should stop with that. So yeah, that was scary.
Yeah, growing up, I was never. I don't want to say a believer or non-believer. To me, I didn't care one way or the other. But I never provoked it.
Yeah.
I never did anything. Even if I didn't believe in it, I was like, it's not worth even finding out that I'm wrong. So yeah, I've never been into any of that stuff one way or the other. I do believe now, um, in spirits and angels and guardian angels and everything else. After that experience, I can't explain it. Um, Only one logical explanation in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there were several other situations too. I mean, just it is a miracle that I'm here today. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't have been several times over, not just those two. There was many other times too. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
Good. Yeah. You got the light in your heart. That's all that matters.
Yeah,
Well, that was a little bit of a coming out.
yeah,
I see crazy stuff. I think it's cool when people have that ability.
yeah.
I think well, I say this very nonchalantly that it's a gift. I mean, I guess you got to talk to these people that can do it, if they
Hmm.
think it's a gift. But everybody I know who has certain special abilities, nobody
Hmm.
feels cursed or burdened with them. They all think it's pretty cool. So I guess, I mean, if you have it, it's normal for you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I've ever experienced anything outside of those deployments. Maybe, and I just never thought about it. But I can't think of a single situation outside of being deployed where it was like, man, my guardian angel or something helped me in any way, shape, or form. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. So I don't have any gifts. I'm just a normal guy that got lucky.
Yeah. You have great intuition, though.
Yeah.
You do.
Well, I married you.
Well, that too. And I prayed for you. And
Mm-hmm.
here you are.
There you go. I was
Another
mad.
miracle.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. That was a little bit of a different episode. I hoped you like it and that you can give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share, do all the things. And we see you next Monday.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, a review, and share it with somebody you think needs this. Have a fabulous day. See you next time.